Welcome back to the podcast. Today we're diving into something that many of us tend to avoid, those difficult conversations that, well, almost everyone dreads.
Yes, I've noticed we often delay them, even rehearse them in our heads, fearing they might turn into conflict.
Exactly, and here's the thing. Avoiding these talks might seem like it keeps the peace, but it actually just builds up tension over time.
Right. It's like we're putting off the inevitable. Instead of addressing the problem, we let it fester.
Um, you know, difficult conversations feel so hard because, let's be honest, they're loaded with emotions. There's this fear of being misunderstood, or even worse, being rejected or sparking conflict. And when that fear kicks in, we naturally shift into a mode of self-protection.
Absolutely. It's almost instinctual. When we feel threatened, we defend ourselves, which often means turning our backs on really hearing what the other person is saying.
And that's where many of us go wrong. Instead of solving the underlying issue, we end up just protecting ourselves. Think about it. Starting a conversation with blame, using phrases like you always or you never, immediately puts the other person on the defensive.
That tends to escalate things. It's like lighting a fuse, and then suddenly you're both racing to defend your positions rather than working together.
Exactly. And when emotions are high, words come out sharper than we intend, and it turns into a competition of who's right instead of a collaborative effort to fix the problem.
So, what's the alternative? How do we sidestep this trap?
Well, let's break it down with a simple framework for tackling these difficult conversations. First off, start with intention, not accusation. Instead of saying, we need to talk about your mistakes, you say, I want to talk so we can improve this situation.
Right.
That immediately eases the tension.
Yep, setting a clear positive intention really paves the way. It tells the other person you're coming from a place of wanting to resolve things rather than just to blame.
Next up, talk about the facts, not personality. It's like focusing on what happened rather than who you think is at fault. Instead of saying, you're irresponsible, you can say, the deadline was missed twice.
Yeah, facts invite discussion, and they steer clear of those charged labels that, just make people defensive.
Then, it's important to explain the impact. Again, not just your raw emotions. Rather than saying, I'm furious, you could explain, when deadlines are missed, it affects the whole team's timeline. That way, the focus shifts to the consequences rather than just your anger.
Exactly. And when the other person understands the real impact of the actions, they're more likely to be on board to collaborate on a solution.
Another crucial step is to invite their perspective by asking something like, can you help me understand your side? That question is a game changer. It opens the door for a more balanced dialogue.
I love that. When someone feels heard, it diffuses so much of the tension. It's really about building that bridge of understanding.
And finally, wrap things up by collaborating on a solution. Ask questions such as, what can we do differently next time? Or, how can we avoid this going forward? It's a shift from simply venting to moving ahead with a plan.
Right, because in the end, difficult conversations shouldn't be seen as win or lose debates. They're meant to, protect the relationship while finding a way forward.
Let's talk real-life examples for a moment. In a work setting, instead of saying, you're not serious about your job, you could say, when deadlines are missed, it affects the whole project. What do you think is making this challenging?
Exactly.
It's a much more constructive approach.
Yeah, it's all about steering clear of labeling and focusing more on shared outcomes. And in personal relationships, rather than going with, you never listen to me, try saying, when I feel unheard, it creates distance between us. I really want us to communicate better.
Absolutely. A subtle shift in language like that can lead to completely different outcomes. It moves from confrontation toward more genuine connection.
But here's a question. Some might argue that this approach glosses over the real, raw feelings we have. Isn't it sometimes important to express how hurt or angry you might be?
That's a great point. And I agree that you shouldn't bottle up your emotions. It's not about denying them, but rather channeling them into a discussion that's productive. Think of it like funneling a storm. You take that raw energy and direct it into something that can ultimately lead to growth.
I can see that. So it's not about just softening your emotions away, but rather using them constructively in the conversation.
Exactly. And sometimes, even if you stick to these steps, emotions can still run high. That's when it's important to slow down the conversation. Lower your voice, pause a bit, take a small breath. It can really help reset the emotional tone.
Mm-hmm. And maybe even acknowledge the emotion by saying something like, I can see you're upset. That doesn't mean you agree with the escalation, but it lets the other person know that you're aware of their feelings.
Right? Acknowledging emotions is all about respect. It's like saying, hey, I understand this hurts, and I'm here to work through it.
And that's key, respecting the other person's feelings while still focusing on the resolution. It turns a potentially volatile situation into an opportunity for growth.
Exactly, it's about transforming conflict into a step toward maturity. I mean, difficult conversations are uncomfortable at the start, no doubt, but avoiding them only leads to built up resentment over time.
Right, and when you do tackle them, even if it's a bit rough initially, it can really build trust and show that you're both committed to the relationship.
And remember, we're not aiming to win the conversation. The goal is to protect the relationship and work out a solution, not to score points.
Exactly. It's not a debate or a competition. It's about speaking with clarity, listening with empathy, and responding with intention.
Yep, clarity, empathy, and intention. Those are like the three pillars of a truly growth-oriented conversation. And when you get that right, those tough talks transform into opportunities for real connection and improvement.
I agree. And it's interesting how these simple shifts in our approach can make such a big difference in both professional and personal relationships.
Definitely. It all comes down to being aware of your emotions, framing your words carefully, and truly inviting the other person into the conversation. It's like building a bridge rather than a wall.
For sure. And even though it might seem challenging at first, the payoff is a deeper, more honest connection that ultimately benefits everyone involved.
So while these conversations might feel intimidating, remember that they're opportunities for growth, not battles to be won. By speaking with intention and empathy, you transform conflict into a catalyst for positive change.
Absolutely. Difficult conversations may be uncomfortable initially, but when handled well, they pave the way for stronger, more trusting relationships. That's the secret sauce to lasting connection.